Hello my subscriblings, and welcome back to part 3 of drawing Cookie Run characters as humans. This video is going to be drawing the request that I got on my other Cookie Run video. Some of these I got on YouTube, and some of them I actually got from my TikTok, which if you want to give a follow, my TikTok account is here. Now as I mentioned, this is part 3 of drawing Cookie Run characters as humans. If you haven't seen the other two, I will link them in this video and link them in the description, but it is not a requirement to watch those first before you watch this one. This is just kind of a standalone series. You can watch whatever episode you want. But like in the other episodes, I will be drawing 5 cookies. Now this video is going to be a bit shorter than the previous two, just because I think I can cut some things out of the speed paints that don't really need to be there. So let me know in the comments if you like this shorter style or if you preferred the longer style videos of the previous two. In order to keep this video short, I'm also going to try and keep this intro short, so let's go ahead and move into the first cookie. The first cookie suggestion was given by Rose Was Yeeted 69, and they requested Licorice Cookie. Now, they were the first person to recommend Licorice Cookie, but I actually had another person on TikTok request Licorice Cookie. The second request was by Schwerbs on TikTok. Now, something that I haven't really shared before, or really show in my videos, is that before drawing these characters, I go through my Pinterest and look through a bunch of bases and poses that I have saved, just to try and get some more practice with dynamic poses, or even static poses that look more interesting. So for Licorice Cookie, I knew that I wanted to be able to draw his scythe. So I looked through my weapons bases and I saw this one, and I felt like not only did it allow me to draw his scythe, but it also encapsulated his personality. And by the end, I love how it turned out. You'll see, I love his facial expression. I think it worked out well. Even though I am trying to practice more with different outfits and weapons, I gotta say, I definitely appreciated the simplicity of Licorice Cookie's outfit. It is distinct, but it didn't have a lot of detail. So he was relatively easy to kick out. The sketch didn't take me that long. The pose was pretty easy to replicate. And the colors also were not that crazy. So he may have been the second easiest out of this group. You'll see which one the easiest was later. But even though he was pretty easy to draw, I'm really satisfied with how this one turned out. I feel like I say that for every cookie that I have drawn. At some point in the speed paint, I will say, oh, I'm satisfied, or I'm happy with how this turned out. And it's true. But also, I don't know what to say. I'm still learning, so please bear with me. Forgive me. I'm so sorry. If there's one thing you should know about me, it's that I have a set list of basically key catchphrases that I have in my head that I will just use on repeat, because a lot of times I don't know what to say, so my brain will just pick one of these go-to catchphrases just so that I have something to say. So, eventually, I will come up with a new list, and you don't have to hear me say I'm satisfied with the drawing ever again. Or maybe not ever again, but hopefully I'll find new things to say. Speaking of having things to say, I am out of things to say for Licorice Cookie, so I'm gonna let the speed paint finish out. Our next request comes from Cyro Baron, and they requested Captain Caviar Cookie. I gotta admit, I'm a bit of a sucker for Captain Caviar Cookie simply because he's a pirate, because I love mermaids and pirates, so I absolutely was so happy to get Captain Caviar requested. For this one, the reference photo wasn't too complicated. I mainly just needed to have something that showed arms crossing, because that was the pose that I had in my head for Captain Caviar, and I suck at drawing arms crossed. So the reference, I didn't follow it too strictly. Again, I mainly just used it for the arms. But this is one of those drawings where I wish I was better at perspective, especially with the faces, because I kind of wish I could give off the illusion a bit more that his head is tilted back. I don't know if you can tell that that's what I was going for, but I just wish I could find a way to make it look like it's in my style, because anytime I try to replicate a more complex perspective with the face, it never looks like my style. And I don't know how to correct that, other than practice. I suppose practice is the best way to do that. I'm really hoping that doing this series of drawing Cookie Run characters in my style is helping me towards my 2024 art goals, which, if you haven't seen, I made a video about it just talking about what I would like to work on and what I would like to see progress in with my art journey, and that is here. But I feel like this is definitely helping me also see more of my weaknesses, as well as forcing me to practice the things that I am not the strongest in. Perspective being one of them. Now, a fun part of Captain Caviar's design is that he has arm tattoos, and that was fun because tattoos are something that I haven't really drawn on characters until recently. I have a fairy OC who has tattoos on his arm, but before that, I haven't really drawn tattoos. So, drawing Captain Caviar reminded me that that is an option for character design, to give your character tattoos. So, watch. Because of this, I'm gonna start giving more of my characters tattoos. Probably not, but you never know. I just think tattoos are such a fun thing that you can add to character design, because it can say a lot about the character. It can say, you know, things about their interest or their past. It can tie into like their religious beliefs. The possibilities are endless. Captain Caviar is another one where the design wasn't too complicated. It was fun to execute, and the outfit definitely wasn't as complicated as it could be. The most frustrating part about this one was all of the little like tassel things on the shoulders. That took a little bit of time to get through. But other than that, it was just his like coat jacket. Now, had I drawn a full body, I know it would have been more complicated than that, but not too bad. The next request comes from Angora Cookie Z, and they requested Strawberry Crepe Cookie. Now this one took me like no time at all to complete. This one is the one that I referenced to earlier, the easiest one, or like the simplest one out of this group. And I think it's just because Strawberry Crepe Cookie is, I assume, like a child. So they were smaller, and I wanted to try to keep them to scale with all of the others, so they aren't as big on the screen as the other cookies are. And their outfit was super simple. The most intricate part was the little headpiece that they have, but their little shawl or cape thing, I'm not entirely sure what it's supposed to be. Super easy. It's like 2 colors and then a trim. Now, I know that I have said that I will say that I'm satisfied with all of my cookies, but that's not entirely true. I will admit, this one I am not as satisfied with. I don't know what it is about this drawing, but I feel like I could have done more. It's lacking something. You'll see, I tried to have it be with like no pupils, but then I went back and added pupils, and even that didn't solve the issue. I still am not entirely sure what it is. Our fourth request comes from Vinny Opal, and they requested Mozzarella Cookie. This is another cookie where I look very intently at my bases to try to find the perfect drawing reference base, because I knew that I wanted a base that, kind of like Licorice Cookie, also showed her personality and also was able to show her bell, because I know that that's a very important part of her character, or at least her character design. I don't know anything about Mozzarella Cookie yet. I have only just recently gotten to the Cheese Kingdom, so hopefully I'll get to learn about her more soon. But I always see her with the bell. Anytime that I get her from the gacha or I see her in the arena, she's got that bell. So I knew that that was going to need to be an important part of the drawing. This is the reference that I picked. I think it shows her personality really well, or at least the vibe that I get from her. This was such a fun drawing to do. I gotta say, out of the 5, I think she is my favorite that I have drawn. And I don't know what it is. I do think it is the pose, because it was just so fun to try and draw. And then just the attitude that you could get from her from this drawing makes me so happy, because it's like I feel like I was able to portray what I was trying to portray with her. And she looks so good in the end. The only thing that I really struggled with Mozzarella Cookie was the hair. I was having trouble because I wanted to try and make it look gooey like the cheese, but also look like hair. And it took a while to get the right shape that I was looking for. And I think you'll see me try and like erase and undo, and just it happens at least 100 times until I am satisfied with it. But it was worth it in the end. Alright, so our 5th and final cookie recommendation comes from Soy Wolf on TikTok, and they recommended Dark Choco Cookie. Now, this one was especially fun for me since I already drew his father, Dark Cacao Cookie, because I am a sucker for genetics. I love trying to figure out how to make characters look like each other if they're related. I have a character who has, I think, 8 siblings, and I remember going through and just writing down the features that each child would have based on, like, the parent. I don't know. Biology, genetics were my favorite part. So getting to draw Dark Choco Cookie, I knew I wanted to try to make him look like Dark Cacao Cookie to the best of my ability, while also, you know, making it look like Dark Choco Cookie. And honestly, I don't think the genetics part was the hardest part for me. I think the hardest part for Dark Choco Cookie was his hair. My friend, bless her heart, has to hear me say all the time that I struggled with the character's hair, but with him, for real. I also struggled with Mozzarella Cookie's hair, but his hair was like a whole different level. And you wouldn't really think that it would be that complicated because it's a short haircut, so it should have been easy. But every time I drew it, it just didn't look right, or it looked a little silly. So it took a while to get it to a point where I was satisfied, but it still looks like a bad bob cut. But hey, I feel like that works because I think he cut his hair with his sword, so it's not gonna be a good haircut anyways. Oh, I forgot to mention at the beginning, this was the reference pose that I used for him because kind of same thing. I knew I wanted to have his sword at least showing somewhat, so I needed a reference photo that did that, and this is the one that I settled on. Nothing in particular with him as far as like trying to show his personality. This was strictly just trying to make sure that I had a pose where you could see at least part of his sword. And look at that, we're already at the end of the video. Like I mentioned, I was trying to make sure this one was shorter than the other ones. Going back and reviewing the other ones, I think they were a bit longer than necessary. So I tried to keep this one short and sweet. I still have a few more requests to get through, so there will at least be one more video in this series before we move on. So look out for that. I will say it'll probably be a little bit just because next month is Art Fight, so I'm going to be completely busy with that. So I cannot say for certain when the next Cookie Run video will be out, but just keep your eyes peeled. And until then, hopefully you'll enjoy the Art Fight content. If you haven't already, I'm so sorry. It's the only thing on my mind right now. But I do hope that you all have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!